Hi, my name is Gil Huff, and welcome to UAP Technology. This is my little YouTube channel where I talk about things UFO, UAP, and space technology that we're working on here at Earth. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between new space or commercial space and the traditional space industry and some of the exciting changes that are taking place and what those technologies are that's causing this incredible, exciting evolution in our capabilities as humans to be able to go to space, which is a pretty exciting thing, I believe. So I can't go over all the different innovative technologies that a score of small companies are doing to try to challenge SpaceX, but I will talk a little bit about the top 3 new ships that I'm excited about. And I think I'm very excited about these 3 new rockets. I think all 3 have an opportunity to change the game. It will be big financial winners. And shocking enough, number 1 excitement, Starship. SpaceX again, changing the game. Switching a fuel mix. Falcon 9 is very reusable, but it's maxed out because of its fuel. It basically uses propane, high rocket fuel version. Dirty fuel that requires a lot of cleaning up. All 3 of my new favorite rockets under development uses methane, which is far cleaner burning. And much more reusable. It's actually relative for a rocket engine. Cool burning, efficient, but powerful. It's a good combination of all the fuels out there. All of them have their own advantages, but methane is clearly winning the game. As again, we've sat back using the same rocket fuels for decades, but now methane is taking over. Methane and oxygen. You do need to have in a rocket ship where there's no atmosphere. You have to have an oxidizer, and in this case, oxygen is the oxidizer. So liquid methane and liquid oxygen is the fuel of choice of all 3. And Starship, one of the things that why it's revolutionary is, all 3 uses different metals or different substances to one is stainless steel, one is aluminum, and one is carbon fiber. Second one is the New Glenn, which I know people in the new space think, oh, the New Glenn, and hey, Jeff Bezos, and I hear you, but it's an exciting freaking rocket. And then there's Neutron, and I'll talk a little bit about Rocket Lab and what they're doing with the Neutron. Again, incredibly exciting game changer. I will have to say, disclaimer, I own some Rocket Lab stock, not as much as I want, but I don't give financial advice, but I'm a true believer. And if you want to buy me a Christmas or a birthday present, some Rocket Lab stock is my number 1 choice for all my holidays. But I invested because I believe in it. I'm not telling you I believe in it because I invested in it. But no financial advice. So Starship, oh man, again, Elon is bold. Yes, it's reusable. It's meant to be rapidly reusable. They're doing some crazy stuff. And one of the reasons they're using stainless steel, very good, both heating and cooling for being able to handle both high temperatures and freezing cold in space. You're dealing with extremes in here. They only cover one side with tiles to block the extreme heat for when it re-enters. They're trying, this is very controversial, but they're trying to catch it in midair. So it doesn't have to have, if you look at the bottom, there's going to be 33 engines and very little space on the inside for lands. And they could put legs on the outside, but he really wants to try to make this most efficient possible. So they're building it. And this, again, the speed that SpaceX works and Elon drives things. He came out, we're going to try to catch it. And everyone, you can't catch. This is super heavy. This is the largest rocket ever built. Bigger than the big, massive Saturn V's that we use to go to space. Bigger than the new SLS. Bigger than anything the Soviets. So this is a massive rocket. It is insanely huge. And so what are you going to do? You're going to land this thing. It really is landing itself. SpaceX has gotten really good. As I said, they land on a moving boat. In sometimes pretty rough seas, and they landed on there pretty good. So they feel pretty confident. And it's the same, software and stuff, or an evolved version of their Falcon 9 software. So in just a year, they have built this massive tower with chopsticks that go up and down, and they're going to a stand where they're going to fly it in, get right in there, close it up, and then the plan is they can put it on the rocket, and then this is two pieces of the Starship. There is the lower half, kind of like with the Falcon 9, that takes it to the edge of space and then comes back down and will land. And then the upper stage, which is the Starship, this super heavy booster and the Starship, will similarly come in and be then put on top, which will allow the goal, and this is mind-boggling, is to be able to launch the Super Heavy and Starship combo 3 times a day. And the other thing just to be aware of is and this is very true of Tesla, Musk says the challenge isn't in designing the vehicle, whether it's a rocket ship or a car, it's of the factory. He spends far more of his brain power figuring out how to make a more efficient, more high quality factory than he does of the end result. Both are critical, but the final result depends on the manufacturing. So right now, what the capability that they have, and we'll hopefully be able to use, will basically be able to produce a Starship once a month. I mean, they're doing that now with their test elements. And so if you have building a new rocket once a month, the rocket ships are supposed to be rapidly reusable up to 3 times a day. Even if it's not that, I'm guessing it won't be. Let's say it's 3 times a week. It's going to require far more checking, and especially early on. Still, if you build one a month and you're launching even one every couple of days, or oh my God, the amount of material and the cost of going to space is just, you cannot comprehend the difference that we're talking about. And he talks it's going to take $2 million to launch one of these. I don't believe that. But even if it's as expensive, like $50 million for a Starship launch, as it is the same price that he's doing right now for the Falcon 9, or maybe half that. But either way, it's 25 or 50 million. You're going from a medium lift launch rocket to a super heavy, 100 tons or more to Earth orbit. Again, dramatic drop in the cost of sending material and people to space. Mind-boggling. So between the the materials used, the technology, the rate of innovation that SpaceX used, Starship is everybody's public favorite. And a real element of new space is it's become a little bit of like your favorite football team. As all these companies are competing and innovating, it's really captured the public's attention. It's another, again, why some Democrats are attacking this incredible success going on, when there are, hundreds of YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of followers talking about what's happening, and people are so jazzed by what's happening. And it's frankly, is there more NFL fans today or more SpaceX fans? I don't know. It almost feels like more SpaceX fans. It's probably just my little corner of the universe, but I tell you, it is radically different. It is probably similar to the level of public attention that we got for the early moon launches. The very first one, that you get people work on their phone. Millions of people worldwide watching what SpaceX is doing. Now, you have your favorite NFL team, which I guess these days would be the New England Patriots. It's got winning every time and winning the races, and you have that success. Right now, that is SpaceX. The boldness of their vision, the incredible success that they've achieved. They are the Super Bowl winners of New Space. Then you got what would be Blue Origin. They have a wholesome image, but maybe they're the LA Raiders or whoever the Raiders are these days. The Bad Boys, the team that people love to hate. Maybe it's the Chicago Bears. Sorry, reformed professional football fan. Ton of money. Maybe it's the Cowboys. So again, hats off to Jeff Bezos for strapping on top of a New Shepard rocket and launching himself to space. That is crazy. And the fact that he believes in his technology enough to do that. A lot of people have lost their lives in rocket ships. And even though he almost over-tested his before he started putting people in them, the New Shepard has been active for at least, close to a decade now and only started launching people last year. Commercial people. I'm excited by New Glenn because of New Shepard. New Shepard, a lot of fun. It looks like a penis or dildo. Can I say that on YouTube? Excuse me. It's relatively small. It just goes to the edge of space, and gives you a couple minutes of waiting. It's not a very exciting rocket for me and many hardcore space fans, but what it does do is similar to what the Falcon, the Falcon and the Falcon 9, giving SpaceX a decade of experience on reusable landing ships, on refurbishing them and launching them back up. Well, they are clearly number two. In fact, there's nobody else really for usability that has a track record that Blue Origin has. And New Glenn is a heavy lift rocket. In many cases, it outperforms the Falcon Heavy. Not as big as Starship, but it is a big boy. It is a big boy. Very exciting. What the New Glenn will be able to do, and again, it's supposed to have a tentative launch this year still. Many people think it's going to go into next year. The engines have been under development for a long time, but that's normal. I mean, everybody compares Blue Origin to SpaceX, and that's tough competition. Their level of innovation, drive. I mean, this past Thanksgiving, just classic Elon, he canceled his own private vacations because he wasn't vacation plans because he wasn't happy with the output of on his engines, and asked everybody to come back to the plant and spend it trying to streamline and improve the engines, and cancel everybody's vacation. He can be a bit of a jerk. I'm not a huge fan, but he's not necessarily. He cares about driving innovation more than anything else, including people. I mean, a big picture is trying to save us all. Small picture, he's a hard man to work for, no doubt. But drive, and gets results. He might be sleeping on the only billionaire in the world that often spends more nights sleeping on the factory floor because he's in the middle of innovation instead of on their super yacht. He doesn't have it. He might be the only one that doesn't have a super yacht as well. Now, so Blue Origin isn't like that. Jeff Bezos doesn't do that. New Origin's CEO doesn't do that. They haven't produced near the number of engines or driven them near to the level that SpaceX has done. But they're showing steady, regular progress. So even if it's the end of 23 when New Glenn actually launches, it's still a super exciting rocket. I mean, if you're not excited about New Glenn, and face it, here's the sad thing. is if the FAA is not able, against their own wishes, to grant the PEA, then New Glenn might beat Starship as the first, massive, heavier than Falcon 9 reusable rocket. And even if they don't, I do think there's a huge market for the New Glenn, a rocket with that kind of capability. And of course, the other thing they've come out with is the commercial space station, Orbital Reef. It is, in fact, incredible. Opening up more commercial activity in space when you have what would be the clear number 2 low-cost reusable rocket for getting people there, and a cargo there. Whether you get people there, you might have to use another thing until it's certified for people. But still, that's a nice complementary technology. You're building off a very proven rocket. It's already human capable, the New Shepard. You're massively increasing it. I mean, it's a dramatic increase in capability, but you're still the brains and your basic design is the same, but it's methane and far more reusable. We'll be able to go regularly up the same rocket ships. They'll be able to at least be as cheap as the Falcon 9 and probably cheaper. So let's say the New Glenn is charging, you can charge the same as the Falcon 9. It's got a, free enterprise. You beat the competition. So let's say you're a heavy lift rocket, but you're charging $50 million a launch. I think, Blue Origin's got a winner there. You have, your own destination. For a lot of these satellite launchers, you're going to have access capability with a heavy lift, low cost launch vehicle. So I think, I know you hate to root for the other guy, but man, it's hard to find weaknesses there. That's a very solid business model. People that don't say that Blue Origin doesn't have a good business model, I just like, what? What's not a winner here? Because SpaceX can only do so much. They got their own Starlink. They have their own Go. They have their own mission, which is really Mars. There is plenty of room as you lower that cost of space. There's plenty of more room here. And the other winner, number 3, Rocket Lab, Neutron rocket that they have under development. Again, for a lot of the now, again, I own Rocket Lab stock, so but there's a reason. The Neutron. So right now, Rocket Lab's rocket is kind of the number big 2 commercial provider, but on a much smaller scale to the Falcon 9. The Electron rocket is a small sat launcher, maybe more comparable to New Shepard than Falcon 9. So that it can go all the way to orbit and launch things in orbit. And if you're paying attention, Rocket Lab has been buying other small niche players with really complementary skills to their own, from PV, photovoltaic manufacturers for energy production from the solar panels, to satellite complement makers. Really good complements to their core model. And the Electron, they fly that baby, not once a month, about 7 times last couple of years. Very successful. They've had a couple of failures. Rockets, again, it's a risky business, but they have probably the second best record for actually getting to orbit next to SpaceX. And their Neutron rocket is, man, I love that design. It's a fat, stubby design, but that's really good for re-entering fat. Causes more air resistance, but spread over a greater mass. They're using carbon fiber, but they presently use carbon. So they have a lot of experience in carbon fiber, and they really think it can handle the heat of reentry. So, and it's much lighter than stainless steel. So, while the 33 massive rockets that drive SpaceX can put up 100 tons easily to orbit. Neutron, which is a medium lift, so it's more of a competitor to Falcon 9, but I think it's a sweet competitor. It's one that I think can beat out Falcon 9. And again, SpaceX is going to be great for big loads, distant places, but the world is a big place. And there's going to be lots of orbits and missions that a medium lift rocket is still going to be a sweet spot for the majority of missions. And if you can beat the Falcon 9, then damn, you're in a good spot. And fat rocket, clean methane, it has to land itself, and they don't. One second. They don't have a lot of experience landing rockets. Their electron is not reusable. And even when they have some plans to push that direction a little bit, it won't land. So they have to develop that, but that's doable. But very lightweight. The engines, they're not pushing the engines. They're actually going for the lighter hull. They can go with less powerful engines. So they're not trying to. The Raptor engine that SpaceX is developing, which is like the cutting edge of all technologies, the most powerful rocket per pound out there. And they're pushing the technology to extreme limits. I like the approach, especially for quick results, that Rocket Lab is going. They're not going to try it's a simple structure engine, gas to gas. Not going to try to push it. Instead, they're going with the lightweight material, fewer, simpler engines, less huge, payload. Has really interesting single design that will release the second stage. A lot of that second stage are going to be super light. So they're really pushing lightness and their experience in carbon fiber to the max. For their design, that's what they're leveraging it on, in a fat design that will automate this, heavy bottom to drive the lower part down. I love the design of the rocket. I love the thought as clear, strategic opportunity, and I think they're going to be competing mostly with the New Glenn and the Falcon 9, and I think they can. There's a market niche there for that is good. I think very clear. I think they'll have a ton of business for years with that. If they come out, if they're able to come out in the next 5 years, I think they could be a huge winner, especially if Starship gets stuck. And New Glenn is Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin. Their weakness is they're not as bold as they could be to dominate. So if there's not that many New Glenns out and Starship is being held up by bureaucracy just because of how big it is, then Neutron can play some real hay. And even if Starship is launching and New Glenn is being pushed to production at a higher volume, I just think the size of the rocket is different enough that they can really dominate. It's bigger than a lot of those smaller company's going to have, but it's that medium lift space that has always proven the 90% of business is in that medium space. So I think Rocket Lab, Blue Origin, and SpaceX are going to be the clear dominant rocket ships on a growing space industry. So exciting times. I mean, this is the future I always dreamed of. And I'm excited by it. Hope you're excited by it. Hope you've learned something today. If you have, hit that little like button. Give me the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the notifications if you haven't hit the notifications. I don't put out a lot of videos, but I very much appreciate it. And comment. As I said, I love this video. Came out of a previous comment. I'm trying to make this a conversation. I will engage with people that comment. And appreciate everybody's thoughts. Tell me what you thought. What's your top three? I said my top three: Starship, New Glenn, and Neutron. But what's your top three of ships under development? There are a surprising number. Most of them are in small space, but I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much, and have a great day.